And let's talk to Dr. Liam Fox, Conservative MP for North Somerset. Good morning, Liam.
Good morning.
This is not a good state of affairs, is it? Especially in Portishead.
Well, Portishead has had a particular problem, and we've known it's been coming for some time, and that's the problem of capacity, because Boots on the High Street has been saying for some time it's going to be closing down, and that's put increased pressure on the other pharmacies, at Lloyd's, at Waitrose in Portishead, and on West Hill, as you say. And we've known the problem was coming, and I met with the regional management of Boots to try to persuade them to stay in the town. They say that their problem is not about their pharmacy business or its profitability, but the overall profitability of the store. And we've known for some time, since the pandemic, for example, with people doing less shopping in shops themselves and more online, that's been putting an additional pressure. So there are pressures coming from pharmacies from a number of different places. I'm actually hoping this week to get a meeting with the management of Superdrug to see if we can persuade them to look at the high street place that Boots currently has, to try and take their place, because only more capacity will actually help in Portishead.
Right. So you think you could persuade them to be in the town rather than Boots? Is that the answer, do you think?
Well, the answer will ultimately have to be that we get more capacity in the town. Portishead's a town of about 25,000 people. It's only going to have the two small pharmacies there serving that size of population. And they've done a wonderful job, but in West Hill, they just don't have the physical space to increase, to take up the capacity that Boots will be leaving behind.
Yeah.
And so we need to try to find someone to take that place. Of course, it's not the job of Parliament or the government to determine where shops are across the whole country. But I hope that we can persuade someone else to come in and take their place. It's a big town. It's clearly a potentially profitable business. And the sooner we can get someone to fill the gap, the better. Ultimately, of course, I spoke to the health minister over the weekend, and she said, despite the fact that, of course, these are private businesses and the government and the Department of Health monitors coverage so that no one's got to travel too far to find one. If there is a lack, then the Integrated Care Board, which is now responsible in NHS England for overseeing pharmacy services, then they can step in. So I've also written to them in recent weeks, first about Sunday closures and then about the fact that we have this limited capacity. Hopefully somewhere in the system we can find the answer to that.
That would be good. Something that baffles me is that pharmacies are now taking on more of these kind of minor ailment jobs rather than people going to the GP. And the government says that will free up 10 million appointments each year because people aren't going to the GP. They can get things checked out in the pharmacies. Pharmacies are saying, we can't cope with that. We haven't got enough money coming in to support us. And yet they are overloaded with work. So where's the money going?
Well, first of all, pharmacies have generally welcomed what's called the Pharmacy First scheme, and they deal with things like acute ear infections and shingles, sinusitis, basically, and uncomplicated urinary tract infections, that sort of thing. And it's a great idea. But of course, we have to have the capacity in the system. And to be fair, the pharmaceutical sector, which is currently negotiating with NHS England and the Department for Health and Social Care a new contract, they've had a lot of problems, from the pandemic to dealing with inflation post-Ukraine, the increase in the living wage, which adds about £200 million onto the sector. All these things are up for negotiation at the present time, but I think that the drive to get more people into community pharmacy has got to be the right direction.
But why are pharmacies pulling out? Are they not making more money from the fact that there's more business there, even though they're struggling with a backlog? Do you see what I mean? It's confusing.
Absolutely, but Boots have not pulled out because of their pharmacy business.
Okay.
They made it quite clear to me that it wasn't the pharmacy business that was causing the problem with profitability, but the wider issue that they face. What I think then we need to look at is, can we encourage new businesses? Can we get new private businesses, new pharmacies opening up who welcome this new framework who want to come into a pharmacy network, which is not just about providing prescriptions or selling toiletries and cosmetics, but actually getting more involved in primary care. That will require, of course, to attract more people into pharmacy in the first place. And I hope that giving pharmacists a greater degree of clinical responsibility, but also, I think, professional respectability and respect, which they deserve, I hope will be a good way of attracting more people into it. But ultimately, they have to be profitable.
Okay, just before you go, can I ask when you think there's going to be a general election?
I don't think there'll be an election until October or November. I think with the economy improving, with inflation coming down, and with the high prospect of interest rates coming down, the government will want to wait till people feel the benefits of that before they have a general election. And quite unsurprising, I would say.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Liam Fox, the Conservative MP for North Somerset. We're talking about the shrinking number, it seems, of chemists, pharmacists in Portishead. West Hill Pharmacy have announced they would close temporarily to manage their backlogs. They're struggling at the moment because there's too many people wanting prescriptions and they can't cope with it. And also we have the situation where Boots, as you heard there, which has a pharmacy in it, they are potentially pulling out of the town. And you heard from Dr. Fox there, he says that they're trying to persuade Superdrug to come in to provide that service.